Welcome back, everyone. My name's Tony, and you're at No Guts, No Gluten. It's a YouTube channel on gluten-free cooking, baking, general information that comes across, hopefully as a helpful guide for everybody. So today we're going to make gluten-free brioche buns. I saw this recipe on YouTube at letthemeatglutenfreecake.com is the website. So I miss hamburgers and hot dog buns. Hot dog buns are the hardest thing to find gluten-free. They're always so dense and heavy. I miss that airy, light hot dog bun. So I tried this recipe. I changed a few things so it's not quite her recipe, and I think it turned out just fine. I'm also a diabetic, so instead of using sugar in this recipe, I'm using the Splenda mix, and I'm not using her bread flour. I'm just using bread flour that is for bread baking, so gluten-free bread flour that's for baking. So everything needs to be at room temperature, the milk, the eggs, the butter. So I'm going to measure everything out. Everything needs to be weighed. From what I saw in most of the videos I've been watching, when gluten-free baking, weighing your ingredients is probably the best way. So let's get started. I hope you like this video, and I hope you like the brioche buns, the gluten-free brioche buns. So I think once you taste them, they're airy, they're light, they're buttery. They're just, they make a good hot dog bun and hamburger bun. All right, so let's get everything started, and we'll get everything weighed out, and we'll be back after that. All right. So everything needs to be in grams. So I got my scale. Let's change that to grams. Okay. So remember, when you're weighing stuff out and you're using a container, bowl, whatever, that you remember to zero it out once you put your bowl on. Okay, so we're at 0 grams, and we're going to need 240 grams of whole milk. Okay. All right. Now each bowl is gonna, be a different weight. So when you go to your next ingredient, you gotta zero it out again. So this calls for 100 grams of sugar. But like I said, I am a diabetic, so I am going to use the Splenda blend sugar mix. So, and that gets 100 grams. Okay, there's that. We'll set that aside. And then 12 grams of yeast, instant yeast, and you got to make sure it's gluten-free. So I zeroed the scale out. And then next is psyllium husk. Now, she calls for whole psyllium husk, but I have powdered husk, and you could use the powdered husk, but that's 3 grams. Oops. Forgot to zero out the scale. It's very important to zero out your scale. Okay. So we have 1 large egg, and we're going to use the whole egg. Then we're going to use 6 egg yolks. So those need to be at room temperature. So we're going to set those aside. And then 85 grams of the softened butter. Zero out the scale. So let's see what that weighs. That's good enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and chunk that up a little bit. So it softens quicker. Alright. Zero out the scale. Then we're going to get 245 grams of, I'm using King Arthur's bread flour today, gluten-free. And some people, I mean, it does contain gluten-free wheat starch. So I know some people are they're a little bit like skeptical because it says wheat contains wheat, but it's gluten-free wheat starch. So if you're one of those type of people, maybe try a different bread flour that doesn't contain it. But I have celiac, but I don't have any reaction to this. So let's go ahead and get 245 grams measured out, and we did zero the bowl, the scale. Okay, so there's 245 grams. Now we're going to need 5 grams of baking powder. And this is gluten-free baking powder. So you can either, if you're good at math, you can add the flour and salt, or the baking powder and salt, right into this bowl. Or you can zero it out. And this calls for 5 grams. And this is tricky doing it this way, because if you put too much in, then you're going to try to just have to scoop it out and everything. So if you want to use a different container, by all means do so, and then just add it in after you measure it. Okay, there's 5. And then the kosher salt is 3 grams. And same way with the salt. Is 3 grams. Okay. that's everything. I'm going to get my ingredients put away now that I measured everything out. And once everything comes up to room temperature, then we'll go ahead and mix everything. We'll start with the wet ingredients first. All right, we'll see you in a few. All right, we're going to go ahead and separate the eggs. So it wants one large egg. So we're going to put the whole egg in. And then 6 egg yolks. Give me something to put the whites in. Now, I separate them just right in my hand. Other people use the shells, do it like this, but I find it's just a lot faster to do it this way. And you may have a egg separator at home. And they don't always crack how you want them to crack. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands. All right, and that's how you separate eggs. All right, now that everything's came to room temperature, we're going to start by adding all the ingredients, and we're going to go down the list and add them as they're on the list. So it's basically the wet ingredients first. Well, it's the milk first anyway. All right. So we're going to add to our mixing bowl room temperature whole milk. And then the sugar Splenda mix. And then the instant yeast. And then we're going to add the psyllium husk. And this is the powder husk. If you have whole, that's fine. But I have the powder. And then we're going to do the eggs. And the eggs were at room temperature. And then the softened butter. And then the flour, baking powder, and kosher salt. All right, let's get that on the mixer. Let's bring you over here. All right, so we're going to start it. I'm going to let this go for a couple minutes on a low speed, just to kind of incorporate everything. Then we're going to scrape the bowl down and then mix on medium-high speed for at least 5 minutes. All right, now we're gonna scrape the sides and the bottom. All right, now we're gonna go medium-high speed for 5 minutes. All right, that's been 5 minutes. So now we're gonna remove it, scrape this down. Then we're gonna scrape the bowl, and it's going in the refrigerator for 6 hours or overnight. But when I first did the recipe, I just did 6 hours, so I'm not sure how overnight would be, but and it's gonna be a sticky dough. All right, let's cover that, and we'll get it in the refrigerator. I should invest in one of those dough cover bowl thingy bobbers, because I really don't like the saran wrap because it never works for me. All right, we'll see you in 6 hours. Okay, it's been 6 hours. Pulled it out of the refrigerator. And you can see it's proofed a little bit. Now what we're going to need to do is flour our surface, our working surface, so the dough doesn't stick. We're going to go ahead and scrape it out of the bowl. And you're going to probably need another cup and a half, 2 cups of flour. And it's going to need to be not so much kneaded because there's no gluten in it, but you're going to have to form it into, a dough-shaped ball. So, you always want to flour your surface with this dough. And we're going to just go ahead and scrape it out of the bowl. Onto the floured surface. Then this is going to be sticky, so keep the flour handy and keep your scraper handy because you're going to want to scrape off your work surface. And then right now I'm just going to knead it into a ball. Then I'm going to keep going in for flour. You always want a well floured working surface. And then you just scrape up the dough. Then don't be afraid to use more flour. And scrape it up as needed. Now you can see it's starting to form a little better ball. And then once you feel like you've added enough flour and everything, and it's holding its shape, then you can start getting the dough cut into little dough balls. It's still a little soft here. I'm going to add a little bit more flour. All right, now you can see it's formed a nice ball. So just going to clean up the surface here. But you want to leave some flour down so it doesn't stick. Okay, now that we have it into our ball shape somewhat, we're going to go ahead and measure it out. So I'm just going to throw some flour down, so after I weigh the dough out, I could just set it on a floured area so it doesn't stick. So you want to grab your scale, and you want to do about 2.5 to 3 ounces. I'd like to go like 2.25, about 2.5 ounces for the hot dog, for the hamburger buns, and about 2 around 2 1/4 for the hot dog buns. So depending on how much meat or bun you like, I think the less ounces on the hot dog bun's better. So I may even try 2.15 ounces for the dough for the hot dog buns. So here I am, just measure them out. These are for 2.5 to 2 1/4 for the hot dog buns. So I got 14 rolls. So I'm going to go ahead and roll out my hamburger buns first, and then we'll roll out the hot dog buns. So you want to make sure you have a little bit of flour on your work surface, a little bit, because it won't roll, and you want it to stick a little bit so it kind of rolls in your hand. And then just like scrape it up a little bit. And then if it's not rolling, go ahead and roll it in your hands. And then place it on the lined sheet tray and parchment paper. So I'm going to do 6 hamburger buns and 8 hot dog buns. So again, just roll it around and it'll catch a little bit, that's fine. And just to make sure, roll it in your hands and then put it on the parchment paper. All right, so I'm going to get these rolled out, and then I'm going to start on the hot dog buns. So now we're starting the hot dog buns. I just roll them the same way. And then I just take my palm and roll them out. About the size of my palm is how long I make them. But if you have small hands, you want to make them a little longer. Make them the size about, whatever you're going to fill them with the hot dog or kibasi or bratwurst or whatever kind of meat. Make them to that size so you have good meat to bun ratio. So it's just taking them and then rolling them. All right, so now that we got them all rolled out, a little bit of shape to them. These are what they should look like. So we're going to go ahead and proof these for about 30 to 45 minutes or till they double in size. So we're going to get those proofed and we'll be back. All right, we got about 6 minutes left on the proofing of the. I went 45 minutes because it's a little cold here today. So what I'm going to do is make an egg wash and get that ready. So when it comes time to egg wash them and put them in the oven. That's all ready. So I got 1 egg. I got a little bit of water in there. I'm just going to mix that up. And she said a pinch of salt. Then she explains in her video what the salt does. All right, now that they proofed, they're ready to bake. I'm going to trim that off a little bit. Okay, so we're going to take our egg wash. Let's get it a little better. Egg wash. Egg wash them all. Get them nice and coated. Sometimes I feel like Bob Ross sometimes when I'm doing this. I feel like I'm painting a masterpiece here. But you don't have to, just cover them. Make sure you got them covered. We only have happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say. Okay. Those look good. All right, now we're going to pop them in the oven. And when they're done, I'll show you. All right, the timer just went off. Let's pull them out of the oven and see how they look. All right, there they be. Nice and soft. All right, once they cool down a little bit, we're going to hit them up with some melted butter. And then we're going to try them. All right, now that these cooled down, cool to the touch, I'm going to go ahead and brush some butter on them. All right. Let them sit another minute or two while I get my hot dog ready, and we'll be ready to munch. All right, this is cooled down enough. I got my grilled hot dog. You can see it fits in there nicely. So that's about, about the size you want. So we're gonna throw some ketchup. A few onions. And some relish. And then here we go. It's your hot dog bun. Been waiting 2 years for the perfect hot dog bun, and this is pretty darn close. So Here we go. Oh yeah. Can you look to see how airy and light that is? And it's not dense like the store-bought hot dogs. So there you have it. Gluten-free brioche hot dog and hamburger buns. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos. We'll be doing stuff, summer stuff, all, for grilling and all that coming up. So like and subscribe to my channel. That way you'll be updated on whenever I post a new video. All right, thanks for watching and good eating. Cheers.